Hi, everybody. This is Kat of Catalyst Holistic Life Coaching, bringing your life in alignment with you. I'm here today to do your weekly guidance reading for the week of June. Where are we? June 15th through the 21st. Yes, that is correct. We are just shifting into summertime, shifting into Cancer. And we also just moved into Mercury retrograde yesterday. Hooray. But in all seriousness, like, we're trying to move away from that idea of when we see retrogrades coming, we're having this kind of like, oh God, what's going to happen? But it's retrograding through Cancer. So it's kind of more of this nurturing energy. It's kind of more of this, we're wanting to kind of hole up and dig more deeply into what we really want to do. And it's a good time to do that because we're really reintegrating. So we're going to have, for a couple days, we're going to have about 6 planets in retrograde. So it could feel like some very just like not a lot of energy, not a lot going on. We will have Venus go direct in a few days. We have a solar eclipse new moon on the solstice as well in Cancer, and then we have Neptune going retrograde in Pisces. And so all this water energy, which is actually making sense now for the visual that I had for this reading. So when I was sitting and meditating, even before I started meditating, a random song that popped into my head was I don't know who it's by. I feel like I want to say Aretha Franklin, where it's just like that freedom, oh freedom, like song that I can't remember who it's by, but if I remember, I'll post it below. But that's just like what started popping in my head, and it's just like that feel good, like release. And I started seeing this visual of immediately just water, just this kind of water energy, and it was like splashing and clear, and it kind of was like morphing into animals. Like at first there was a swan, so it was kind of like this gracefulness flowing through, and it just kind of kept shifting and changing form until eventually it just moved into kind of doing this spiral, almost caduceus sort of thing, weaving together, and it kind of revealed this big like sea serpent or dragon or what have you. And so it was kind of like this connection of also deep in the ocean, like something coming from the depths and finally being free to really express its power out into the world and to be seen fully, to actually take form from something that was kind of fluid. And that song was pretty much playing the whole time. So, and I feel very relaxed coming into this reading. So we'll see what it has to say. If you feel like going and listening to that song, maybe that'll be something good to jam out to and take away from this. This will probably, it feels like it's going to be a really powerful reading because we do have quite a few cards going on, so this may be a long one today. So if you need to separate it out and watch it into parts, you can do that as well. This is a general reading for the collective, so it is just the energies that are at play. It may or may not resonate with you, and it could be something that maybe hasn't come into your field yet, or is just not visible or in our awareness at this time. If you're watching this at a later date as well, this is what you need to hear at this moment. So thanks for tuning in. Anything else to say after that? Yeah, if you do like this video, if you like this information, or you want to stay up to date on these videos, please like, subscribe, and share. These are just something I do every week, and I will also be doing a reading for this eclipse coming up. Okay, so big things are coming. Feel it. So wherever you're at, whenever you're tuning in, taking a moment to grab a seat, really ground your energy so that you can fully take in and receive the messages. This week I am using the Shadowscapes Tarot, so we'll see where that goes. Our animal spirit, crystals, herbs, all the good stuff. So, moving into the tarot first, today we have 4 cards that wanted to come out. So, beginning with the first card, we have the Hierophant. So the Hierophant has to do with a spiritual teacher, connection with nature, connection with the old ways, something traditional, something that is, I don't know if I necessarily want to say ancient, but just it's been around for longer than most things. So there could be either a mentor coming forward for you, a sort of revelation, or maybe you're starting to connect more to these powers. Like maybe you've been searching for, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to serve? And we could be being called to this connection with nature, connecting with the elements, working with the spirit realm, and a deeper understanding. So he's really, rooted and grounded in all of this knowledge. He's old and has gained all of this wisdom over time. So lessons are coming forward. What have we learned over our lifetime? What lessons are we bringing forward to teach? We may have been looking outside for a teacher more, and this is saying that we've kind of found these skills and built them up, and now it's time to really connect with that part of ourselves and express it out into the world, express our teachings, become the Hierophant is what I'm hearing for some of you, becoming the guide, really owning that part of ourselves. So let's look a little more into that. So we have, the next card is the Fool. Yeah, so this is a new beginning. New moons, especially eclipses, are really potent times to set intentions for new beginnings. So we're about to take this leap of faith. You could be moving into a new form of study that you have been looking for. I feel like some of you are wanting to jump into some new schooling. Maybe over this time of introspection, you're really being called towards your higher learning, and you're going to take that leap. You're ready to jump into this. You feel that call to just really allow yourself to have that experience. Something that is really calling to your heart, and not being held back any longer. And this is also like almost a naivety of like, maybe we don't know like where this is going to lead, but deep down we really feel like this is what we're supposed to be doing, what path we're supposed to be taking. Okay, so we're taking that leap in. So next card we have is the Page of Swords. There's some of the swan energy. And we've got this little gosling as well. Or swanlight, I think they're called gosling, baby swans. Anyway, so it's this new, but this is also a page, which is like the messenger, or kind of that youthful energy again. And this is truth, this is clarity, this is nurturing our truth, like protecting something. We are maybe being called more to service of working as, counselors. Excuse me. Sorry. Either maybe some of you are being called more to service of like protection, working towards counselors, protecting the weak of some sort. But there is this truth coming forward, and with the swans also really representing grace, and also taking like a really deep inventory of ourselves as well, and finding our personal truth. Maybe this also fresh energy is that kind of self that we've been neglecting, the really authentic parts of ourselves. We're finally letting that be free. Maybe some of us were really actually being suppressed by this traditional system, because this is kind of like old ideas in the sense of tradition. The original tarot, depicts a priest. So this could be, maybe some of you have been facing oppression in some way, through whether it's religion or just traditions in your family, or society. Traditional society is starting to make way for this older wisdom that we used to be tapped into in the first place. We were more in tune with nature, and we kind of let these archaic structures take over. And now we're realizing that we've been so disconnected, and we're ready to tap into this rebirth, this new energy, and we're ready to be more authentic human beings. We're not being directed by society anymore. We're not being directed by, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't want to say cultural in a sense, but these ideas of capitalistic structure that really don't serve humanity in the best way. It's more because we're so cut off. We're cut off from this nurturing towards grace, towards beauty. We're more focused on success and power and money and greed and jobs, all of these things that are really not in alignment with the higher aspect of being human, if that makes sense. So our truth is coming forward, our message of clarity of this structure no longer works, these traditions need to come down. I'm ready to take that leap and to protect what's valuable to me. I'm ready to protect the weak, protect the innocent, and I'm ready to face my truth. I'm ready to come charging forward with this newfound leadership, because this is like strong movement forward as well. And this is your gift to the world, is your truth, because everyone's truth is different. But when it's in alignment with our heart space, when it's in alignment with being of service to others, protecting what truly matters, then it benefits everyone, instead of falling to the wayside and allowing these restrictions, these old ideas and beliefs that are no longer functioning in this realm. We're shifting into this new dimension. Okay, a little long-winded, but I was trying to find the right wording for it, and the message kind of was just still coming through. So last card, we have death in the reverse, the only reversal, and this is depicted as a phoenix. So phoenix rises from the ashes, from the flames, after there's rebirth after death. So in order for this to happen, we have to let these old ways die. Are we holding on to these old ideas? Are we holding on to the way we think things should be? And, picturing that water energy, it's like water it changes form, it's fluid, and it's not bound by any just one structure. Like, it can change and be mutable to anything, but really in its true form, it is limitless. It is everything. It can be gaseous, it can be frozen and solid, it can be liquid and flowing. Like, we are really limitless. So where are we holding on to these ideas that we are limited to just one thing? We are limited to where in this moment we are. We don't have any more growth, or we have to abide by these structures. But this is also a sign of really deep inner transformation. So the transformation within has to happen. The acceptance of the full acceptance of the self has to happen in order for us to make this change. So taking that leap of faith in yourself, believing that, you're, even though it seems like a loss, a death of old things, you're not sure which direction it's going to go. There's a lot of uncertainty because even the fool doesn't see what's ahead. There's just absolute trust in that feeling of freedom. Freedom! That's what it is. Freedom, like death. Death is freedom in a lot of ways. Our culture really, in a lot of senses, is afraid of it. But it has to happen. We have to free ourselves from this prison in a lot of senses. We have to free ourselves from these bonds and really come forward, rise from the ashes of the old, and rebuild into something more powerful and new. Okay, so I really love that imagery in this card. This is a beautiful card. Awesome. Okay. Whew. All right. This is a lot of stuff, and especially with an eclipse, that's really, really that new leap, that new direction, that really just like the old is falling away. And then we have a full moon on the 4th of July, the founding of our country. And there's a lot going on in the astrology of like returns, when this country was founded, at least in the US for us. So we have particularly a lot of structures that are going to be changing for us. And as we start to change, what are we going to do to make things different? What are we going to do to improve and make things better? What needs to fall away in the old and be restructured in the new? Okay, so moving into our oracle, let's get some more clarity in this. So we have 3 animal cards today. Let's see what we got. Scarab Beetle Spirit. Magic works through you. So this power is coming from you. You are unlimited. You can change and decide your life at any moment. One of my themes for my classes this week was illusions, that our mind likes to tell us how limited we are. Limited in the body, limited in ideas. Like society likes to tell us we only fit into one little box. But in reality, we have so much power and potential, and it is not manifested without a conduit, and we are those conduits. We are the bringers of this energy. When this shift needs to happen, we are the physical manifestation of making this magic happen. So it requires your participation. It requires your unique power. It requires your attention. So remembering just how powerful you are. Okay. Second card, of course. I've just been seeing flamingos for a while now, so this is just funny to me. Flamingo Spirit in protection, embracing the in-between. So with him in protection, this is a really strange time to be in. We're kind of like, where do we go? We don't know what to do. Lots of retrograde, so we're kind of like facing this also, like, how can we make things happen? This is more like inner work, but I have so much that I want to do. We have a lot of injustices that are happening that we want to speak out against, and we want to make these changes. Either we don't know how, or it's just not happening fast enough. So with Flamingo and the protection, this is really saying it's all a part of the process. You really have to not be so rigid. Not, that I would say more of the rigidity is like this traditional sense. Like allow, like even if you don't know, that's okay. You can embrace not knowing. If you see this idea and you're trying to make it happen and it's just not happening, you keep pushing, step back. Get the bigger picture. Allow it to flow through you. Embrace this in-between, because there's always in-betweens to everything. There's always a transition. Things don't always just happen immediately. So whether it's going to come fast, it's going to come slow, like learning to flow with it and embracing it more and more. Because the more we embrace, the more we let go and just allow whatever it needs to change and fall away. Stop resisting. Just allow. This is a card of surrender in a lot of senses, which is generally hard. Because we think we have to do something to surrender, but we don't. We just have to keep surrendering. So embrace, allow it to fall away. And validating everything too, whatever your feelings are, whatever your thoughts are, they're valid. You don't have to get down on yourself, labeling it as good or bad. Everything we're feeling right now, we are feeling for a reason. So diving more deeply into that. Okay, last animal spirit. Peacock spirit and protection. Let it shine. So I think this has a lot to do with this shining as well. This like death of the old self. Where are you keeping yourself small or unseen so that you don't have to because sometimes being seen is a big fear for us, like public speaking, being judged, all those sorts of different areas. And so we make ourselves small, and we don't want to rock the boat too much. And if we don't let our truth shine forward, how can we really make the shifts in our lives or the changes happen that we want to see? You're this big, unique energy that is needed right now. So don't be afraid to just kind of be out there. Break the traditional systems. Break the ideals. Don't be, one in a million, or that's the wrong term. Do be one in a million, but don't blend in with the crowd. Shine that light forward. Shine that truth forward. Actually speaking from the heart space, because this is, really letting that heart truth shine forward. We're not being inauthentic anymore. We're going through a big transformation. And so we have to also embrace that we're going through these shifts as well. Okay? Yeah. All right. Moving into a crystal energy that can assist us for the week. Oh, nice. So Howlite, spiritual beginning. We're opening to these new realms. We are shifting our dimensions, our ideas of how the world works. We are becoming more spiritually connected. We are becoming more aware of just how vast we actually are as humans, how much each and every one of us matters, and how much this society in a lot of senses has been bogging us down and keeping us powerless. We are ready to begin this new path. And since this is blue and silver also, like that white energy, this is pure truth. This is really speaking your truth. So this beginning, this shift will not happen unless you are being completely authentic with yourself. And that can be hard. That can be painful. You can feel really vulnerable and, not sure you really want to share your truth. You feel like you haven't been seen, and because you weren't seen and accepted, now you have that pattern of, I shouldn't be seen, like this isn't safe, but it is. Like you are always supported by your guides, your angels, whatever you believe in. Like, you have support whether you know it or not. And that new beginning, that forward movement into how we want to see changes in the world starts with you and me and everyone collectively really tapping into their truth. And I just want to touch on this a little bit, because some people will say, well, our truths differ so much because, some people, let's just speak in current terms right now. Some people are really racist and have really hateful things to say. Other people know that this is wrong and know that we are all equal as human beings. But when we are actually tapped into our heart space, if we actually let go of these illusions and projections of what we've learned through our upbringing, our fears, all of these things, if we actually removed all of that and tapped into our heart and actually felt love and compassion for ourselves, we actually shifted that and learned to love ourselves, do you think anybody would be saying hateful things like that? These are people that are disconnected from that. They are disconnected from spiritual truth. They are disconnected from themselves. They are not speaking love because they are not loving themselves. If they were, they would not be saying horrible things or standing up for horrible ideals that are not true, because it's not true. So this is where actual spiritual truth comes in. When people speak from a hurt, hateful place and speak from projections and ideas of when they're not actually in alignment with themselves, this is not their actual truth. So you can have compassion and understanding that that person is not really in a loving place, which can be difficult to face these kind of people and have compassion. But it's almost, you do in a sense feel bad because they are so disconnected from that. And most of us don't feel that way. Most of us are really connected to loving feelings and spiritual things and don't understand this. And ultimately, that's really sad to see that. So this is where compassion can come in a lot, and actually speaking your truth from a loving place, not speaking hate or your own projections, but what is really your truth? Where are you speaking for love? Okay. I had just been wanting to touch on that a little bit. That was really coming forward for me this week. Whew. Okay. So we'll continue moving forward. As I said, I thought this one would be long today. So moving into some herbal medicine that can help us this week. Sweetgrass, curandera of earth, or the king of pentacles. So I've seen a lot of, there's a great book that I've heard of, I haven't actually read, but everybody says it's great, called Braiding Sweetgrass. You plant it and take it and braid it together, and when it dries, you can burn it. It smells really great. But just the ritual of braiding and creating these sort of ties just realizes our foundations and connection with everything. This is like a really nurturing energy of connection, which is super important right now. We need to remember our connection with the earth, with each other. So connecting with people, finding, plant medicine to connect with this week. Okay. Next we have is wild cherry or 9 of fire. So I haven't specifically had wild cherries except flathead cherries from Montana that may or may not be present for you. But the 9 of fire has to do with, we're almost at this accomplishment place. We're almost at our final goal. And we're starting to get weary. We're starting to be weary from the travel. And so this wild cherry, I feel like, is just kind of that like sweet reward, that just like encouragement to keep going. Like, don't give up just yet. Don't persevere. There's been so much work put in already. You need to keep working hard. You need to accomplish this. You need to keep pushing forward. So as difficult as this feels, as scary as this feels, like, look at how much work you have put in. And again, embrace that in between. Like, that could be that resistance where you're just like, like, I'm so frustrated. Things are just not working out. They're not changing the way that I want them to. Things aren't happening the way that I want them to. It doesn't mean that they aren't, but there's something to learn here. There is a pause here for a reason. So reflecting and giving gratitude for what you have learned, how far you have come, and that's the embracing of the in-between. That is the integration. So indulging in something to remind yourself of why you do this, of whatever it is that you're working towards, however this contribution is working. This could be new ideas on relationships, passions, your work, how you contribute to society. This can hit a broad spectrum of ideas, but indulging in what reminds you of this connection, what reminds you of your passions. So, because cherries are just kind of that more like luscious, like indulgent sort of fruit. So indulging in some cherries this week, finding the sweetness in life again. That's coming through. Okay, next we have our last one for herbs is 5 of water or golden seal. So the 5s in this deck are like endangered plants. Golden seal is a really beneficial tonic for wellness in general. And the 5 of water generally has to do with looking at loss, like thinking we've lost everything and not really fully recognizing the opportunity that's behind us. So I'm going to look in the book here real quick and see about some extra messages for that. So yeah, seek out healing waters to ease your pain. A restored heart clears the vision. Golden hope dwells deep underground. Grief is a necessary part of healing. You may be lost in sorrow or depression, unable to move forward from a great loss. Allow your feelings to unfold. While golden seal is a prized remedy, its survival is threatened by overharvesting. Tea made from the yellow root heals irritated mucous membranes, conjunctivitis, wet colds, sore gums, and eczema. It teaches us that healing can be buried deep within. Sadness can open the portal to intuition. Though you are in the depths of despair, hope is hidden in the darkness. A small amount is all we need to get by. So this death, this transformation can bring up a lot of emotion. And that's that embracing the in-between again, where we have these strong emotions coming up that we're just like, okay, like, is this going to be over? I'm done grieving and I'm done doing this, but we don't get to fully decide just when things are done until we fully experience them and allow them. So again, that kind of nurturing indulgence, connecting with people, finding all of these ways to just feel and allow. Like, maybe you need to express to someone, maybe you need to nurture yourself a little more self-care. And this is another part of letting yourself be seen, like letting it shine. Don't be afraid to let the world see these emotions of just like, I'm not okay, I'm really sad about this, the state of the world or whatever is going on with you. That could be something that we're afraid of too, is we're not embracing these emotions. This is where we're feeling maybe a little bit like self-protective and pokey and just meh. Because we are tender. When we're reborn, we're in this new skin, snake shedding its skin. And it's really tender and easily irritated, and we just don't want to be touched upon. We don't entirely want to be seen because it's so new and fresh. But the more we're vulnerable, the more that we open, the more that we self-care, the easier that it will be. Okay. Right. So we have a couple Work Your Light cards this week. So we have, the first one is Dance with Life. Do something to change your energy. Dancing is a great way to move this energy out. I do a lot of videos on like dancing and somatic healing movement. So it could be that embrace is another like word for dance. Dancing with life. Moving with the to and fro. Like, you can feel sad, but don't let it stay in the body. Like, dance it out. Work it out. Like, scream it. Whatever. Just don't let it get trapped in the body. Be open to the newness happening. Be open to letting the energy shift and change, knowing that nothing stays the same forever. Okay. Don't dim to fit in. Covering the eyes, not wanting to be seen. Don't do that. We're not doing that anymore. We're not dimming down anymore. That's kind of what's led to all of this, is we've remained quiet. We haven't spoken up. We haven't allowed ourselves to really be seen and heard on a truthful level in order to see the actual changes that we want to see. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? What did you do to make sure that you were safe in your environment? What kind of structures or old ideas, these traditional senses, are just dimming your shine? Like, is this really who you are? I don't think so. I don't think for most of you. Don't dim your shine. Let yourself be seen. I feel that really strongly, where it's just like, it's almost like a frustration, because it's like, you're so like unique and beautiful and you have purpose. Like that just really wants to be said. Spirit really wants to say, like, you have purpose, you are valuable, you are loved. There is a reason you are here, and you need to not be afraid to let that be seen. So whoever needs to hear that, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of people anymore. Don't be afraid of yourself and your true self. Let yourself really be seen. Okay? All right. Last card. We're almost finished. This card again. This is like the third time in a row or something that this one has come forward. So, body. Show me, divine, how to love and fully care for this body. Please give me the radiant miracle of accepting my body as it is. So not just our physical body, but our whole being. When we don't accept our body, we also don't accept ourselves. We are judging ourselves not just on this surface level, but deep within as well. And the more we start to really care for this vessel, the more that we're affirming to the universe that it's a shift, that we truly love and care for ourselves. And as I said, like, when people really love and actually care for themselves, they are not doing things or speaking in hateful ways against other people. They are loving towards those people because they understand, they connect. When we are disconnected from each other, it is because we are so disconnected from ourselves. We are not doing that deep diving into the body experience. So a lot of energy, like especially around fear, that really has to do with root chakra energy. And I realized this myself reading more into the root chakra. When people are not grounded into their bodies, when they are not allowing themselves to fully feel, they're disconnected from everything else. They're so disconnected from their bodies. Like some people are so disconnected that they can't feel hot or cold. They won't feed themselves because they don't know that they're hungry. They won't sleep because they don't feel tired. They're so overactive in their mind. And this is something I realized for myself. Like we all have that fear, like wounding. And this is like the oldest wound you can get. And when we are not healed in that sense, when we don't have that foundation, it's really hard to feel balanced everywhere else because we are so in the mind that we think that's how we function. But in reality, like we have to be in the body. We have to start with the body. We have to start with ourselves, or the change will not happen. If we seek the change externally, it's going to be a constant disappointment. So what are you really doing to love, to express love for yourself so that it'll manifest outward? And what are you doing in your actions that you are wanting to see in the outside world as well? Yeah. Okay. I don't hear anything else coming forward for that. So I think that is your message for this week, or whenever you come to this reading, that all really wanted to be said. Like I said, really big reading this time again. We're going through a big shift, so these bigger readings keep happening for these weekly guidances. Like before, they were just light little quips here and there, but they are really just like giving you a big broad picture of things to be worked with right now, because this is a potent time to start doing that healing that we've needed to do for so long. So be open to it. Be open to questioning yourself in how you've been doing things, and is it really authentically you? Okay? Yeah, I like it. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching this and taking the time to, be open to hearing, my messages that I get from these cards. I love doing these sorts of readings, especially when it really connects like this, and it's really, really big, clear messages. I love it. If you want a personal reading, or you have any questions or comments, you can always reach out to me or on my business page. I do all sorts of readings, weekly like this, monthly, yearly, or just an overall reading of what you may be going through right now. If you would like to reach out for a reading, I am doing them mostly by donation right now, as we are recovering from everything at the moment. And if you feel called to, if you would like to tip or donate to my business or just buy me a tea, you can follow the links below to my Cash Apps and send it that way, and I appreciate the exchange so much. So I hope this message finds you well. Remember to love yourselves and care for yourselves above anything else before doing your work in the outer world. And you are doing amazing. This is a huge calling. I'm excited to see what comes from it. So feel free to share your stories or your experience with this. And as always, thank you again. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you for your next reading. Take care.